So self-defense education wouldn't be complete without some weapon defense. And in today's talk, I'm going to address the really controversial topic of gun disarms and mention some things that you don't always hear about, something that is not always explained in gun disarm education, because people often just post the teaching of how to do it, but there's so much context that you need in this circumstance, and this is a very sophisticated situation. The way you deal with an armed robber, for example, or some armed criminal with a gun will vary depending on where you live and what the motive is. And so we really need to address this before getting into just learning how to do a gun disarm, because in fact, the gun disarms are extremely difficult. Even if they might seem easy when you're doing it in a drill, you can watch dozens of sparring matches where there are gun disarms, and they're always messy and difficult, and they don't turn out the way that when you drill it, the way they teach it. And there are many cases where it's just safer to not even do it most of the time. And that's what we're going to talk about primarily today. So the first thing I'm going to mention is that the need to disarm a gun and the kinds of armed robberies, the situations where people have a gun pointed at them close range, is a very low percentage. It's a very low rate in at least North America, I should say. Extremely low probability in North America. And you have to realize that people don't just walk up to you with a gun in your face or your chest, right? They don't have the motive to just kill you immediately. If they wanted to do that, they would kill you, right? If someone wanted to kill you, they would just do it. They could do it from a couple meters away, from a distance. Why would they, walk up to you, point a gun, wait for you to respond, and then kill you? So there's a motive behind criminals with guns, and 90% of the time, that motive is money, or they want your car, and in some cases, they want to kidnap you. So usually it's not about you, right? And this is why it's so dangerous to do gun disarms, because they're so difficult to actually perform successfully. There's an extreme likelihood, extreme risk of being shot. The same case with the blade, a blade disarm or a knife disarm. Extreme high risk of being sliced. That's why they always say you will get sliced or you will get shot. It's just too probable. It's too likely. So let's talk about these motives and circumstances. In some cases, there are stupid people who get angry. You're having an argument with somebody, or maybe it's someone you know, or maybe it's a stranger. You have an argument and someone pulls out a gun. That's another situation. That's a slightly different motive, because when a stupid person gets enraged, then the intent is to kill you or to cause some serious harm by shooting somewhere on your body. And that's different than a robber. So that's another rare circumstance where you're having an argument, someone pulls out a gun. Should you or should you not disarm them? Let's talk about other risks and likelihoods. There are taxi drivers. Their risk of being held at gunpoint and other kinds of violence, they're 25 times more likely to experience a violent encounter. Could be with a knife, a gun, or just some kind of violence in general. Now, this is distinct from Uber taxis and Lyft drivers. Why? Because they don't carry cash. So their transactional means is mostly digital. I mean, they do sometimes get cash tips, but the main payment system is digital. It's credit or debit, and it's paid beforehand. So much lower risk of being robbed in an Uber or Lyft, because there's nothing to rob usually. So here are some circumstances where the best solution is to not disarm. If you're a store clerk, and they're demanding your money at gunpoint, don't disarm. Just give them the money. Most of the time, criminals just want the money or they want the car. They don't actually want to hurt you, because that's going to up their risks in their criminal record. It's going to raise it. The gunshots are going to be reported. Everyone's going to hear it. It causes a mess. So they just want the things, the stuff, the valuables. If you're a taxi driver, again, they ask you for your money. Don't disarm them. Just give them the money. If you're in a car, someone gets you at gunpoint, and they say, "Get out of the car." Whether they're sitting with you or they're just outside your window, they say, "Get out of the car." They're not asking for you, are they? They're not taking you, they're taking the car. So this is Grand Theft Auto. Don't disarm them. Just give them the car. Let them take the car. Right? You're risking, every time you do a gun disarm, you're risking your life with extreme high risk, when really, most of the time, the motive is not you, it's the thing. Who cares if you lose a $100,000, $200,000 Tesla? It's your life on the line here. If the person wants the car, just give it to them. Cars are easy to track in general. A lot of cars can be tracked, so it's likely that you can get it back once you file a police report. If you have an argument with somebody, and they take their gun out, just drop it. Just stop the argument, right? De-escalate. Just say, "Okay, I'm sorry, never mind, you win, whatever, you're right," etc., etc. If the gun is too far away, if it's not within reach, don't try to disarm it. You really want to walk up toward a gun to disarm it? You're walking towards a weapon so that you can disarm the person? That doesn't make sense, right? I mean, it's not a good situation either way, because running away from a gun is also almost impossible, because it's not hard to aim at somebody. How fast can a person run? Well, not necessarily that fast, not as fast as a bullet. They might run in an erratic way, but it's still pretty easy to shoot somebody if they just start running. However, in that case, if there's a distance between you and the gun it's not within arm's reach, then it is probably better to run, because that's your only option. So you want to, in this case, you want to de-escalate, don't argue with the person. If they're asking for something, give it to them, and run. In the debatable scenario, when you're in an argument and the person won't stop being angry and getting and arguing with you, and they're not de-escalating, they're not calming down, then you can perform the disarm. Then it makes sense. If they still have the gun pointed at you, then do it. So let's talk about some other cases, a couple other circumstances where you should do the disarm. If somebody jumps in your car and they demand a ride from you, you should consider this a kidnapping, because what if you drive yourself to some place and this person basically captures you? Then you should disarm. And there's a whole different kind of, a slightly different variation to this disarming, because you're sitting parallel beside each other in a car, so it's going to look a little bit different. If you're at gunpoint and they grab you, and they try to take you away, or they say, "Come with me," you're coming with me, right? Because they want you, then they're kidnapping you. In that case, you need to disarm. So, as I said, gun disarms are extremely high risk of being shot, because as soon as you do it, you're escalating the situation instead of just giving what the person wants. And when they do happen, if you watch many sparring matches with gun disarms, they're always very difficult and messy. it's hard to, it's rare, it almost never happens that the guy just immediately snatches the gun out of the other's grip. It's never clean like that. You have to be a wrestler. It's a big, messy wrestle. They often go on the ground fighting for this thing because the criminal's highest priority is that gun. It's so precious to them. If it gets into anybody else, if anybody else takes it, then they're screwed. So they're going to be holding it as tight as they can. And you have to wrestle with this person trying to disarm the gun. You'll be wrestling for minutes on end. And it's not like you're gonna smack it out of their hand. You're probably gonna have to pry it out very slowly, and it takes a long time. It's extremely difficult. And typically it's only happening because in fact, you're not just wrestling, you're striking too. And the only reason why you're getting it, these guys successfully get it out of their grip, is because of the strikes. So they're wrestling and they're striking as much as they can at the face, anywhere, the face, the sternum. They're wrestling and striking each other, and it's those strikes that distract the person with the gun and loosen their grip momentarily. You keep striking and striking and then pulling at the grip and striking and pulling at the grip, and finally you get it. And as soon as, usually what happens is both parties are so focused on the gun that as soon as the protagonist or the defender, or I could say the victim, as soon as they get the gun out of the grip, they just toss it away because they don't want to have anything to do with it. They're wrestling. It's, they get out of the grip, it's sitting. They don't want it sitting just 10 inches away from their bodies. But if you do manage to disarm, then the next thing is a whole nother process. Because in America, it's not as illegal to point guns. I mean, you may not have a gun license. It's pretty easy to say that it was self-defense. I mean, everyone has a gun in America. So you perform the disarm, you take a few steps back, you tell them to back away, tell them to get out of here, to back off, to stay away. And then from that point, you just report it and put the gun away somewhere. You hide it, bring it back home, and then you have to report everything to the police. So this is where things get a little bit complicated, and this is extremely important to know because it's very different in Canada than it is in the States. You're dealing with, in America, if you're dealing with somebody with a gun and you successfully disarm them, you are allowed to create a citizen's arrest by pointing the gun back at them and keeping them away this way until help arrives. So you can do that, you can point the gun at them, you can keep distance from you and them. Now the next question is, can you shoot them? And the answer is always, or however way you escalate the situation is based on the minimal amount required. So obviously in Canada, you can't even have the gun pointed at them. I mean, in most cases. In America, you can create the citizen's arrest. You've got the gun pointed at the criminal now, but you can only shoot them if the threat remains. So if the threat is eliminated, if you've removed the threat by taking their gun and they just stand still and they're frozen in front of you, you can keep it pointed at them, but you can't shoot because they're not a threat anymore. Or if they run away, don't shoot, right? Either way, if shooting somebody back it puts you at a very high risk of, the situation they were in a second ago. Legally, you're allowed to shoot if they're still a threat, right? If they charge at you, they try to get the gun again, they reach for a different weapon, they reach for a knife or any other weapon. If the threat remains, then in the States, it's okay to shoot. It's self-defense. I personally don't recommend it. because it's never really worth it. Even if the person kills you, this is a Buddhist channel, so we know the consequences of killing someone through self-defense. It doesn't matter if it's self-defense or in the military. There are still consequences to that. In Canada, if you perform a knife or gun disarm, you are not allowed to point it even. And you most certainly cannot shoot them out of self-defense, even if they're still a threat. This varies a little bit because there has to be a reasonable reason to act. It's something like that. So there's a bit of fluxus in these rules, but basically Canada is so strict with weapons that when you disarm a weapon, you want to try your best to continue to reduce the threat by de-escalating. And you also just want to get away from the situation. You want to run and you want to hide the weapon. You want to take it back somewhere and then report the whole thing and then let the police take it from you. Now, this is a World War II very small pistol-sized submachine gun. It's an Uzi. So because it's classified as a submachine gun, it was built as a submachine gun. It has a bigger body overall. This is not a pistol-sized gun. So fortunately, in the real world scenario, if you ever have to do a gun disarm, it's not going to be this size. For any other kind of pistol and every other kind of pistol, even a Desert Eagle is easier to get your hands wrapped around it than this thing, because look how tall this is. This is super thick. It's going to make things a little bit harder if you had to disarm a World War II Uzi submachine gun like this. But for demonstrative purposes, this will do. You just have to imagine that when I'm wrapping my hand around like this, just imagine that actually your grip is a full grip where you can touch your fingers together like this. So it wouldn't be on the muzzle, of course, but you would be able to actually close and have a very good tight grip and touching your fingers like that. With this one, I can't do it because it's too big, but just imagine that I'm doing that. So with the gun disarm, I'll summarize it. I'll go through the motions in one sweep, then break it down. So here, here's the position they're generally in. This is a gun point. Whether it's here or here, it's the same idea. Let's do that again. I'll do it slower. Oops. I blended those steps together, which is acceptable, I guess, but let me be more precise. And then from here, when you have the gun, in America, it's encouraged to cock it. You just grab somewhere around here, you can anywhere around here, the top rail, grab it and pull it back, right? Cock it, and you can point, and that's a civil or citizen arrest. In Canada, you take some great steps back, create a lot of distance, put the gun in your pocket, hide it somewhere, and you run. That's the legal way to do it. In Canada, because the rules are so strict, the legal way to do this would be, as soon as you disarm the gun, you immediately run. You just run away. You take the gun with you and you run away. It's in your pocket. You take it home and you make a police report, and then the police will take it from you. It gets tricky when you start doing what they do in the States, where you start defending yourself with the gun, you point at them, or you shoot. That just gets really tricky and messy, more so here than over in the States, because there's no civil arrest here. But again, the general rule is that you defend yourself as much as needed and no more, right? Otherwise, things like excessive force are easily applied to the case, and possession of a weapon, intention of harm, and things like that. It gets messy, and you start to look like a criminal very quickly this way. So you just have to mostly fight with your fists and run away, that sort of thing. So let's break this down in steps. You're at gunpoint. The most important thing that every weapon self-defense teacher should teach you, what you learn about, and this is why Krav Maga gets a lot of criticism, a lot of angry criticism from people, is that Krav Maga has these amazing fantasy Hollywood style weapon disarms, and they're so beautiful and nice, but they're completely impractical and unrealistic and dangerous, because one thing is not just that they're fancy, but that they're involving simultaneous blocks and strikes at the same time. Blocks and strikes, blocks and strikes. And that just doesn't make sense when you have something so dangerous like a knife or a gun. The most important thing is to just control the weapon, right? And controlling the weapon means always both hands, right? Always control the weapon, both hands, right? And then you defend yourself in different ways. I'll get into that in a second. So a standard simple weapon disarm, the most important thing is to control the weapon, right? The first move is to get out of the line of sight. Just get away, right? And actually, it is important which way you do this. It's better to go to the left, because most people are right-handed, right? So prepare. So you step to the left. If you have to, sometimes you just have to step out. You know, the most important thing is to step away, right? But ideally, step to the left. Now the next thing, which is actually a simultaneous move, is as you're stepping to the left, I'm just teaching this in steps, but what it should be is simultaneous. As you step to the left to get out of the line of sight, you grab the gun. You grab the kind of barrel or the casing. And as I said, both hands. You grab it. Simultaneous move. Now you have it with both hands, and you've gripped it like this. Let's see. So one hand is on the barrel or the muzzle. The other is on the back, because this part is exposed. If he's holding it like this, you can grab this right here. So you've got the back end, and what this creates is a very, very powerful, strong prying motion. So that's this. Okay, so I'll get to the step 3. So here's step 2. You've got it held, and step 3 is a little bit sophisticated. You rotate and you pry, and it's extremely important you rotate and pry. If you just pry, look where the gun is now. Yeah, you can easily pry it out. Yeah, but look, if you're fighting it for it too, which you shouldn't be because this is a strong move. If you pry it like this, all of a sudden it's pointed at you. See? So you have to rotate it. The reason why you rotate it is because you're going to pry upwards. So you rotate it. Now it's rotated. The grip is getting weaker, and you pry it up toward the sky. Like this. And you yank it out, and it will slide right out. And even the strongest guys out there cannot hold their grip. If it's a one-handed grip and you grab it like this, twist and pry it out like that, nobody will be able to hold their grip on that, because you're using both hands and you're not just yanking it out straight out, but you're prying it out of his hand like that. And there you have it. That's how you do it. The only good thing about this move is that because you're the one acting first, when a gunman has the gun, they're just holding and they're waiting for something, right? Some kind of, they're asking for something usually. They're waiting for some kind of response. So because they're waiting, you're the one who is reacting first. And what they found in drills, with the clean drills, as I mentioned, the sparring matches where you do the disarms, and they're both really trying to have at it. Obviously, those ones are messy, and there's a whole wrestling match, and they're fighting for their life for many minutes on end, and they all are just, you know, both of them are grabbing onto it like this, struggling. But when it comes to the actual reaction time itself, the speed of someone doing this, reacting, is most of the time, like 90% of the time, faster than the person can react and shoot. And we've been doing, people have been doing drills with guns, like airsoft guns and things, to see who can act faster, right? The person doing the disarm or the person pulling the trigger. So much of the time, actually, the disarm it wins out because it's so random, it's so spontaneous. You don't know exactly when, and just a lot of the time you can't pull the trigger fast enough. So that's the only good thing about this. But as I said, the reality is when you do it, sure, maybe you miss, you avoid the first bullet, but then there's this whole wrestling match that goes on, and that's why it's so dangerous to do disarms in the first place. You're just fighting for your life, like in a movie. Just all this choreography.